Hello, I'm Cindy Bennett, Executive Director of STEP, Strategic Twin Counties Educational Partnership. Welcome to the Chamber Buzz on Education, sponsored by the Roger G. Taylor and Associates. My guest today is Dr. Kathy Lawson, the Student Success Specialist with the Upper Coastal Plain Learning Council. As Student Success Outreach Specialist with the Upper Coastal Plain Learning Council, tell us a little bit about that Upper Coastal Plain Learning Council. What's your mission? What's your focus? What type of work do you do?
Wow, great question, Cindy. I really love having a chance to talk about the Upper Coastal Plain Learning Council because I feel like it's done a lot of great things in Eastern North Carolina to support all the wonderful things that are already going on.
Right.
In 2008, after Wesleyan College made a bid to become part of the University of North Carolina system, there was a huge assessment done, and it was decided that there needed to be some more support in Eastern North Carolina, particularly in 5 counties: Northampton, Halifax, Wilson, Nash, and Edgecombe counties. For a couple of years, a council was worked, and the council consisted of representatives from North Carolina State University, East Carolina, Elizabeth City State University, North Carolina Central University, the 4 community colleges, and business leaders from all 5 counties. And they decided there needed to be some boots on the ground.
Right.
And so they started looking for community outreach specialists. We are the 8th division of the McKimmon Center on the campus of North Carolina North Carolina State University. About to mess up my whole scarf thing here. And it was decided at that point that we would be part of their outreach team. And so Alice Warren, the vice provost there, who's a huge supporter of everything we do in the 5-county area, actually interviewed me and some other folks, and I had a chance to join a great team. It's pretty powerful when you have North Carolina State University behind what you're doing.
Right.
In East Carolina. It's really incredible. So we started out with 3 missions: K-16 education,
Right.
the workforce development piece, and then the healthcare education piece are the 3 areas we work in.
So when we consider the partnership with the university system that you've mentioned, NC State being one,
Right.
of course, East Carolina, they're on the campus of NC Wesleyan with a mission to look at education across the K-12, K-16
Right.
spectrum, workforce readiness, and health. I mean, there are so many key projects that are taking
Right.
place in this community already. So it sounds like the work with the Upper Coastal Plain Learning Council really is to align, to coordinate, to support
Exactly.
the efforts that are already here. Am I
Exactly,
correct in that?
Exactly. And I had this little thing I say, I'm connecting the dots,
Yes.
although I'm terrible at that actual game. Connecting the dots, that's what we do. We find needs and we fulfill them. And an example is one of the programs I'm most proud of is called our Wisdom Tooth Program.
Right.
Last year, our Wisdom Tooth Program made oral hygiene presentations to 2,658 people from 4 years old to about 80 years old.
And that's amazing. And I want us to talk about some of those specific programs as well. But you mentioned the council and the partnerships with the institutions of higher ed. So in our local council,
Right.
who actually from this region is involved in the council?
We have from the Nash Rocky Mount,
Yes.
Edgecombe area, we have Dr. Lamb from Edgecombe Community College.
Right.
We have Dr. Carver from Nash Community College. We have representatives from the school systems. We also have representative business leaders. We have county commissioners. as we do from Halifax County. We have a county commissioner from Halifax County. And then we have people that are just interested in being on the council.
Right.
So, and anybody can come to our meetings. We meet every other Tuesday, every other month, the second Tuesday of every other month. For instance, we're meeting October the 20th. I realize that's not every other second Tuesday, but this year we had to make a change on that. But we'll meet again the second Tuesday in December at Wesleyan College in the media room. Every once in a while we may go somewhere else and meet, but we usually meet there.
So if I may ask, with the Learning Council, and you've indicated that there's local representation by both of the community colleges as well as other school and county officials, the partnership with NC State, let's look at that for example, in the McKimmon Center. Tell us a little bit about that relationship and the support this community actually receives from NC State and the McKimmon Center through this program.
Well, first of all, again, Alice Warren, the Vice Provost, is there. It's all about outreach and engagement. In fact, it is the McKimmon Center for Engagement and Continuing Education, so engagement's in there. NC State is a land-grant university with the commitment to have outreach. And so in Edgecombe County, I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, NC State is supporting everything we do. I went to East Carolina and we had a chance to offer a middle school innovators academy at West Edgecombe School in the summertime. We had a great time. The kids actually came up with projects they could get a patent on.
Right.
And so we were really thrilled about that. We were able to have money to put greenhouses at Southwest Edgecombe's campus when they needed it probably about 3 or 4 years ago. In Nash Rocky Mount, we've been able to do some mini grants with them and offer some staff development that both Edgecombe and Nash as other people have taken advantage of, in computers, in curriculum, and also, of course, we have engineering camps that we're offering in Wilson, and so I know that's not Nash or Edgecombe counties, but still we've drawn people from Nash and Edgecombe counties into those camps.
Okay, so lots of work, lots of partnerships, and for example, an NC State direct connection might be through these engineering camps.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the engineering place is a great support for that. We actually have curriculum that comes from the engineering place to use.
Right.
We hire local teachers, but we also have great training through the school, the engineering place. We have a 2-day workshop in April on Friday and Saturday, and all the teachers from all the camps in the state get together, which is a huge networking opportunity. And they actually go through what they're going to do with the kids and start picking out there's a huge selection of academic programs we can pick from and all kinds of activities. So then we have a workshop just for the teachers for our camp, and they get together and actually go through the curriculum and pick out what they're going to do. And then we have the camp. We have the camp on the campus of the Eastern North Carolina School for the Deaf. Mm-hmm. One great opportunity for me and my colleague Betty Jones, who's the Community Outreach Specialist for Teacher Success, is we get to be on some fantastic committees. One of those being the Eastern North Carolina School for the Deaf. I guess I have some short committee names, but right now I don't have any in my mind. But we were on that committee a couple of years, and the campus is underused. It used to house over 400 students, and now there are about 100 there. So we decided we would have the camp there, and Carter Bearden, who's the director of the school, has been so phenomenal to help us. We have wonderful facilities and all the support we could possibly need. We had 19 students the first year. We started the camp. Cindy Peck, who was working with me then, and I started the camp by actually going to the businesses and industry in Wilson and getting financial support and mentoring support from them, and they were fantastic. Right. I call that the technology of 2 feet when you go out and do that. You leave the emails alone and you show up. It's hard to say no to your face, but they were great. But anyway, we had 19 kids. When it came time for our last day, which is called Presentation Day, we had 89 people there that came came in. The same thing happened with our second middle school Innovators Academy that we had at Edwards Middle School. We had about 16 kids and we had 90 people to show up on presentation day.
That's amazing, Dr. Lawson. And so what I'd like for us to do is continue our conversation about some of your active projects, some of your great success stories, and some things you have planned for the future. Our guest today is Dr. Kathy Lawson, who is the Student Success Outreach Specialist with the Upper Coastal Plain Learning Council. Thank you for joining us. My guest today is Dr. Kathy Lawson, who is a Student Success Outreach Specialist with the Upper Coastal Plain Learning Council. And I'm Cindy Bennett, Executive Director of STEP, the Strategic Twin Counties Educational Partnership. Dr. Lawson, let's continue our conversation around some of the work that the Upper Coastal Plain Learning Council is involved in. I understand that you have three main areas in which you work, the K-16 educational spectrum. You also work with workforce readiness as well as health and wellness. So let's talk a little about K-16 and the educational focus. And I understand that you work with Nash and Edgecombe as well as some surrounding counties. But let's focus specifically on some of the educational projects or programs that are currently working, functioning, alive and well here in the Twin Counties. Could you talk with us just a little bit about some of those opportunities for students or educators?
Well, again, to go back to the engineering camp, because we have the engineering camps that North Carolina State Engineer Place does on the campus of Wesleyan College at the Gateway Technology Center.
Right.
They have an elementary camp, a middle camp, and a high school camp.
Now, when are those camps typically offered?
In July.
Okay, so summer opportunities for students for elementary, for middle, and secondary.
Right, and that's offered by the collaborative, and I feel it's really important to speak to that because they've been doing that for several years, and they've had literally hundreds and hundreds of people from this area and other areas to come through.
Right.
We're working in something people have heard a lot about, I guess, is STEM or STEAM or STREAM, and depending on which letter of the alphabet you'd like to add to it. But we're really moving towards the STEAM project now, and we're writing some grants, hoping to be able to fund some supplies and things for people that are working in STEAM or STEM projects in the area, because we know that's been a very viable thing.
Sure.
And a lot of times before we do anything, we start assessing what is needed by talking to people, like going to the meetings for the STEP that you have, which are valuable places to be. And we find out that, of course, their engineers are just not available in this area. Right. And so we're determined to grow our own. It doesn't have to be, I guess people think about engineers, I always thought about bridges and highways, but there are really dozens of kinds of engineers.
Exactly.
And so we're trying to expand the knowledge of that, but also grow our own engineers and to support people that go along with that.
And that's so insightful, because oftentimes, just like with manufacturing, we have this mindset that really was applicable to 1950, 1960, and not to the current time. When we think of engineers, there's so many opportunities for biomedical engineers, mechanical engineers, and the list goes on and on. So in these camps, elementary, middle, and secondary students have an opportunity to work with folks from NC State University and other local engineers and educators to enhance that. You mentioned something I want to make sure we clarify for our viewers. STEM and STEAM.
Okay.
Clarify the difference, please, for our viewers.
Well, STEM is the science, technology, engineering, and math. We're using the engineering word a lot, aren't we? But it's really a critical word to use. STEAM actually adds arts to that. So it's science, technology, and engineering, art, and math.
Right.
And then we have STREAM, which puts the R in for reading. So it's pretty hard to do the STEM or the STEAM without the R anyway. So some people add it and some don't.
Sure. So basically, when students are talking about the STEM focus, or parents, you're understanding how your schools are really focusing on science, technology, engineering, and math for the educational focus, adding the A would add the arts, or adding the art would add, for STREAM would add the reading, which is really an all-encompassing approach to what we need. Could you talk to us just a little bit about some of your projects and your current work around workforce readiness, please?
We've got a great project that I'm not going to really call out the name of because we're just beginning, but we've discovered a wonderful and effective program in New Hanover County that we hope to bring to this area.
Great.
And when we say we're going to bring it to this area, we're hoping to find a lot of people who we can share it with and also collaborate and build a whole consortium to bring this program in. And it works around the premise that the unemployment that we have in our counties, and especially, of course, in Nash and Edgecombe, I think being a little bit higher than Nash, it comes about that we've got to try to find a way to meet that problem. And a lot of people think, if anybody's ever committed a misdemeanor or anything like that, that really puts them off the map of being employed.
Right.
And this program actually helps people that have, they don't have to have ever been in court, but if they have committed some kind of minor crime and for some reason that's keeping them from working, or they just haven't been able to find a job or be trained, actually has a training component. It actually works with people that have been incarcerated, and it has a huge success rate in New Hanover County after just 2 years.
That sounds remarkable, because that certainly is a concern in this area as well. Many folks looking for jobs who might have had some issues with the legal system, and are still interested in being gainfully employed. And there are a lot of hurdles and roadblocks that keep them maybe from being employed. And oftentimes businesses have, through their human resources area, particular policies that would prohibit them from looking at some candidates who otherwise might be viable. So a program like this could help circumvent some of those issues and get some of these folks employed. That's a great opportunity, and look forward to hearing more about that when you're able to bring that here.
Well, if I may interject,
sure.
April the 12th, we're going to have a speaker come from Wilmington, and we'll be sending out invitations and hopefully recording his speech for all the media. And so we're hoping that will start spreading the word officially. So I'm very excited about that.
Okay, sounds like a wonderful opportunity for this community, which is something that we're very pleased to be able to offer with partnership with the Upper Coastal Plain Learning Council. The other area that you mentioned was health. Talk to us about one of your shining star projects with health and wellness, if you would.
Well, if you'll have to hit me over the head to get me to stop, because I can't stop once I start. I actually want to mention too, but I mentioned earlier the Wisdom Tooth program. We've had that on for probably about 4 years now. We're approaching seeing 9,000 people.
So if I may ask, Wisdom Tooth, what age? Focus
from 4 years old to seniors.
So the idea of wisdom being smart, knowing about dental health, oral hygiene.
I'm trying to teach myself to say oral hygiene. But what happens is we have a wisdom tooth instructor. It was Betty Jones, and now she's taken over as curriculum specialist for teacher success, so we've hired someone else and we're training that person. That person actually goes into a daycare, a community center, a classroom. We've been to lots of classrooms, and does a presentation on proper oral hygiene and talks about brushing teeth. They have puppets that actually can spray things, but we don't let them do that, although the kids want that a lot. We give out toothbrushes. We have a dental kit we give out. We actually had a student to tell us in one of our 5 counties, when our instructor said, tell us how you brushed your teeth this morning, just to start out like that, and he said it wasn't my day for the toothbrush. Because we do have a lot of people that the families share a toothbrush. So we have given out and had those presentations, but given out almost 9,000 dental kits.
That's amazing.
And the Upper Coastal Plain Learning Council funds are what support this. Now, we've had people at the McKimmon Center to donate some supplies to us. We've had Johnson & Johnson to send Head Start kits to us, so we have had some other kinds of support, but mainly it's the Upper Coastal Plain Learning Council funds that we devote to this. Basically, a third of our funds go to it.
So may I ask if there are local businesses or individuals who would like to support, for example, the Wisdom Tooth program, how might they do that?
If they'll contact me, and I think you're going to have my contact
Yes.
information on the screen, we'll be glad to connect them with our Wisdom Tooth person, or I'll talk to them, or Betty Jones will talk to them, and we'll
Great.
set up something. And we're going to use our resources to the absolute limit. We've already got lots of kits packed, and so we're ready to go.
Great, that sounds good. You mentioned another project around health that you wanted to share?
Well, the youth mental health first aid and the adult mental health first aid, I'm actually trained to teach both of those. Unfortunately, we have a lot of people under stress that are traumatized. For every adult being treated for trauma in our area, we've got 30 children that are not treated, that are traumatized.
Interesting.
And so this youth mental health first aid is an 8-hour training program that assists adults in helping students or young people from 6 to 24 that may be experiencing or approaching an experience with a mental health issue. And it's a concrete actually approach. You actually have a formula on how you can approach someone, which sometimes is a very uncomfortable thing for people to do. But if you have this formula and you've been trained, it really does help relieve that.
And that sounds like something that would be certainly very useful to community members, to parents, to adults who are working with or around children.
Exactly.
Knowing the signs, and then once you recognize some of these signs and signals,
Exactly.
what do I do about it? I think you're right, that's very important. When is that class offered? Is it something that an agency or organization could request? And another question, is there a cost to that training? Share a little about that with us, please.
Well, any agency and the adult version would be available, and a lot of human resources people I understand would love to have somebody to come in and work with their managers and people like that are in there working with the other employees. So the adult mental health first aid. The youth mental health first aid, I'm actually teaching one October the 1st that has filled, so I've opened another one up December the 11th.
December the 11th.
And if you're in if you live in Nashville, Edgecombe, Halifax, Northampton, or Wilson counties, the only fee will be $25, which is the cost of the book that the participants get to keep. Otherwise, there is no fee. If you work and live outside of that 5-county area, then it's $45 plus the $25 for the book.
So just a nominal fee for something that I'm sure would be very beneficial. So if someone is interested in the class, we will have your contact information posted as well,
Please
Dr.
let me
Lawson.
know.
That's something that they would just need to contact you directly
right,
for.
that will be
Wow.
awesome.
So, Dr. Lawson, you've shared so much information with us, the Upper Coastal Plain Learning Council, and all of the great work that you do. And I just want to personally say thank you. With STEP and your collaboration with us, you've connected us to some key partners and organizations in the community, and I know that the work you're doing is really making a difference.
Thank you.
So we look forward maybe to having you back again.
Thank
we can
you.
talk a little more about some things you plan for the future. And thanks
That would be
again.
great.
Thanks
Thank you
again
so
for being with
much.
us. Thank you for joining us today.